So just to step back, and we'll come back to AI because I love the topic. But through American Cosmic and in general, you've interacted with much of the UFO community. You mentioned ufologists. By the way, is it ufologists or is it ufologists?
It's ufologists.
Ufologists.
Yeah.
So first of all, what is a ufologist? And second of all, what have you learned about this community of ufologists, or also as you refer to them as the invisibles, or the members of the Invisible College, or just in general, people who study UFOs from the different, all the different kinds of groups that study UFOs?
Sure. Generally, what I found is that they are, okay, so people who are interested in UFOs from like being a kid, you know, and seeing some cool movie like Star Wars or something, and then they become interested and then they study it as best they can, UFOs or UAPs. They're generally an honest group of people who are using their tools. There are generally two types of them. There are those who believe in the nuts and bolts, like the physical craft, and they believe in that these are things from other planets. Okay, so that's like the ET hypothesis. Sorry, ET hypothesis. ETH is what we call it. Yeah, sorry about that.
So this is like there's an actual spaceship, like like something akin, but much more advanced than the rockets we use now.
Yeah,
and
they have advanced
some kind of not necessarily biological, but something like biological organisms that travel on these spaceships.
So this would be like what To the Stars Academy is trying to decipher, like how do they do it? Maybe we could use that technology, the propulsion and things like that. They look at the rocket technology. Yes. Okay, so there are those. And then there are people who believe that it's more consciousness based. Mm-hmm. Okay, so these are your two types of ufologists who are known. And these are people who we know about. Then I found that there are people who are, quote unquote, I call them the invisibles, because Jacques Vallée in the 70s, he and I think actually Alan Hynek, his colleague, quoted, this is a Francis Bacon thing, by the way. Mm-hmm. It goes back to the early modern time period when scientists could be killed for basically trying to go outside what the church or the government institution determined was dogma. And so they had to be really careful. So he called it the Invisible College. So Hynek took that term and reused it, or what do you call it? Repurposed it. So he repurposed it. So that they were still talking to each other though. So what I found to be the case was that there was a group of people who were scientists, but were not on the internet. To people today, and students of mine in particular, and my own kids actually, they think that you only exist if you're on the internet, or something only exists if it's on the internet. Yeah. And that's, of course, untrue. And so what I found was that most people who are the most powerful people of our society and are doing things are not on the internet. You're not going to find any trace of them. So a lot of these people are what I call invisibles, people who are studying. At least their work is invisible. You might find them on the internet, but you're going to find that they're part of the bowling league or something like that, right? You will not find that they are actually engaged in research about this topic, okay? And so I called them the invisibles because I was surprised to find them. And I thought, well, this is no longer the Invisible College because these people are not even talking to each other. And that's why I reference this movie Fight Club. In it, you have an invisible, okay? And his name is Tyler Durden. And he's incredible. He does incredible things. He's like a person who should not exist, right? Because he does so many things that are amazing. And so I found a person like that, and he's a real person. He's partially on the internet, but nothing that he does around that topic of UFOs is on the internet. So I decided to call him Tyler D after Tyler Durden. And so these people, I've termed the UFO Fight Club because they work together, but they don't know. In fact, his boss doesn't know what he does. They don't talk to each other because, the first rule of Fight Club.
Same as the second, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't talk about
No, you don't do it.
Why do you have a sense that there's such a, I don't want to say fear, but a principle of staying out of the limelight?
I think there's something real, and I think that the use of it could be dangerous for people.
Oh, sorry. You mean like something real, like there's actual what's the right terminology here to use?
Let's just call it
alien technology ideas about technology
Yes.
that are being explored that are dangerous if made public, that maybe become dangerous if made
Yes.
public.
So
So
I
that's
wouldn't
the
call,
worry.
you don't have to call it alien technology. You can call it ideas about alien technology,
Right.
because I don't know if it's actual alien technology or not. I honestly don't know. But I do know for a fact, because it's a historical fact, that Jack Parsons and Konstantin Tchaikovsky, who's Russian, believed in these things and believed that they were downloading this information. Whether or not they were, I mean, they definitely created the rocket technologies. That's true. How they did and whether their process was exactly what they said it was, I don't know. So this is the same thing today. So we've got some powerful technologies going on here. And, you know, of course we have a military, and we have a military for a reason. Almost every government who needs a military has one. And so they're going to keep these the way they should be kept, in my interpretation. I mean, think about it. Everybody accepts the fact that we have a military. Almost everybody does. Why are they so upset then that the military keeps secrets?
Yeah, well, that's the nature of things. And we can get into that whole thing. I tend to. I've spoken with the CTO of Lockheed Martin on this. I've obviously read and think about war a lot. It's such a difficult question because this particular space of technology, there's a gray area that I think is evolving over time. I think nuclear weapons change the game in terms of what should and shouldn't be secret. I think there's already technology that will enable us to destroy each other. And so there's some sense in which some technology should be made public. This is the same discussion of, between companies. Which part of your technology should you make public through, like, for example, academic publications and all that kind of stuff? Like how the Google search engine works, PageRank algorithm, or how the different deep learning, like there's pretty vibrant machine learning research communities within Google, Facebook, and so on. And they release a lot of different ideas. It's an interesting question, like how dangerous is it to release some of the ideas? I think it's a gray area that's constantly changing. I do also think it's super interesting. I wonder if you could elaborate on a little bit that there's this gray area between what's actually real in terms of alien technology and the belief of it when held in the minds of really brilliant people, that they ultimately may produce the same kind of result in terms of being able to create new technologies that are human usable. Like, is there in your mind they're one and the same? Is like believing in alien craft and actually being in possession of an alien craft?
I don't think they're the same, no. Belief is powerful, okay? In New Age communities, you know, people think thoughts are things, okay? That's been said. You know, thoughts are things. You can make them happen, kind of thing. Believe in them enough. It is true that if I believe I can run a 540 mile, I'll do it, okay? And I probably will do it. And I've done it before, actually. Much younger, but I did it. So, but my coach is the one that instilled that belief in me, right?
Yeah.
And so, but can I run like a 1 minute mile? No. Okay. So I guess, does that answer your question? Like, there's only so far belief goes in generating reality.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's what, just having listened to Jacques Vallée, it seemed like reality was not as important for the scientific exploration of the concept of alien technology.
I could be wrong, but this is what I think Jacques' getting at. There are other ways to access places in reality other than what we consider to be physical.
Right.
There's consciousness. Okay. So like I said, so religious studies is, among other things, it's looking at visionary experiences. All right. So people do have visionary experiences. They did without drugs, you know, they did with drugs. They do with drugs. Many have them without drugs today. And oftentimes those visionary experiences correspond to each other. Now, how do we make sense of that? So, you know, do these places actually exist? In a sense, I think they do. And so I think that let's take that very famous case of a Virgin Mary apparition in Fatima, where I think there was like a lot of people, thousands and thousands, if not like I think 50,000 or something like that, a lot of people gathered to see what's now called the miracle of Fatima, which was the spinning of the sun. Well, a lot of people saw different things, but they all saw some kind of thing. Okay, so they all saw different things, but it was something happened. Okay, so I guess the question is, what are these places where we access what I'd call like non-physical realities, okay? Where we actually do get information. We get, like, who could say that Jack Parsons didn't get information from doing these rituals and accessing these? We have to say that he actually did, because we see the results, the physical results. The same thing with Tyler, and that's why I put Tyler in this camp with this tradition with Jack Parsons. I say that Tyler is getting these, what he calls downloads, and you can see the results of them physically. He sells them on the NASDAQ. He makes millions of dollars from them. They help people. I've seen people who they've helped. Okay. So